Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is me, Duke CT, and I have returned here on the Dukect Lounge with my two interesting guests. And say hello, gentlemen.
Yo and hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, Writrzblok and Rowdy C, and they are here with me, Duke CT. Ha! Got that rhyme in. And I'm doing this on the top of my head. But anyway, we are going to be talking about some interesting things in the world of wrestling and, well, how things came apart during, the Money in the Bank match. And, we saw it was just going to be basically about the women's Money in the Bank and how the WWE handled it and how we honestly wish they could have handled it and, well, how the whole thing, the whole mess and stuff began. So let's rewind and look at Money in the Bank this past Sunday. The match was actually pretty fine. I thought it was pretty good for what it was. I mean, I've seen better ladder matches. Heck, I've actually seen some good hardcore matches between two ladies. The No Mas match from Lucha Underground. That's one with Sexy Star and Mariposa. I mean, to me, that's the bar right there.
Yeah, that's definitely the gold standard.
Yeah, and well, we're not going to get that in WWE anytime soon. Because I can just imagine if they even tried 1/5 of that, they would go completely, oh my gosh, everything went crazy. They'll lose their mind.
I mean, they would lose their shit if one of them started bleeding from the mouth at all.
Oh yes.
Just like one speck of blood. Oh no, it'll blemish their beauty.
Yeah, it's yes, and and that stuff. But I gotta say, this was a very fun match, and then we get to the ending, and well, oh boy, I was actually sitting and celebrating my Father's Day with my dad, going to the restaurant, and I was watching, via the cell phone and everything else, and I was just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, and then let's see, and then I saw it, I was like, no way, I thought someone was gonna stop him. Stop Ellsworth for climbing up the ladder. I was like, okay, she's going to or Becky or someone else to knock him out or something. But no, he climbed up, got the briefcase, dropped it to Carmella, and the match was over. And they were talking about it, and then Ellsworth got on the mic, declared them the winner, and they moved on. And I love the faces of every one of the women. That's like they wanted to kill him. They wanted to kill them, but they didn't really do that, which I wish they could have done that on Tuesday Night SmackDown. I know it's been over like a year and such like that, but I still think Thursday. Maybe it's just me, my old school stuff. It went to Thursday, to Fridays, and all this type of stuff. But it's always gonna be Thursday Night SmackDown to me. But yeah, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pass over to Writrzblok right now to let him give his take first, because let's just say I know I'm going to be the black sheep on this whole thing, so I'm going to let you guys take care of your stuff, give your takes on that, and then I'll give mine.
Well, what do y'all? My thought was, honestly, I was laughing a bit, I was having fun, but when I slept on it, I was more like, say, where the wrestling, Brian Zane was. I thought it was like, this, that, and the other, but I'm like, okay, if they just commit to it, I think this could be really good heat. This could be something really interesting for Carmella, have everyone hate her, that sort of thing. But the way they played it off, well, we'll get to that in the aftermath of it. But when I first saw it, I was laughing at it, but yeah, but now I'm looking at this could be something really, interesting. I thought it could be something, because people were talking about it, but like I said, I understand why the frustration, the people who are upset and everything, but yeah, but.
Well, my opinion on it is that I'm kind of two minds. I understand why it happened the way it did. This kind of thing where a heel is pretty much handed the win, especially in this case, like, a man a man, like, symbolizing the man climbing up the ladder for the woman who can't get it herself somehow, and bringing the briefcase down to hand it to her, essentially negating all of the work put in by all of the other women, all the other female wrestlers. I mean, I get it. It's a slap in their faces. It's a slap to the fans' faces. And it taints what could have been a historic moment in women's wrestling. It also provided volcanic heat in terms of the outcome. However, I think that a lot of that heat has been placed more on Ellsworth and on creative than it has been on Carmella. And when we get to the aftermath, about on SmackDown, I can tell you how she kind of course corrected it in her promo. She, because she did a fantastic heel promo. But at the time, we didn't have that promo. We had James Ellsworth just, knocks Becky off, climbs up the ladder, hands the briefcase to Carmella, grabs the mic and says, "Carmella wins, peace out, bitches." And they just, and the refs just go, "Well, okay, I guess he's general manager for the night, whatever." And the thing is, I understand both sides. Yes, this is something that is going to that could have nuclear heat. We're talking just surface the sun heat. But it's also something that didn't really have to be done here. It didn't have to be done at this Women's Money in the Bank. It could have been done, say, another year down the road, or maybe 2 years down the road. I mean, when you have the first of something, you kind of want it to go off without a hitch and
be more legitimate. Is that what you're saying?
Well, for Rowdy, hashtag, quote, legitimate. But and the way I see it is that it was a ballsy idea. It was a ballsy idea to have him do that. And the only way I think they could have salvaged it is for Carmella to have cashed in on Naomi after the Lana match.
Yes, that would have been, or during. I mean, heck, in my head, I would have had, meanwhile Lana and Naomi were fighting. They both knock each other down. Carmella comes out, sprinting out, cashes in the Money in the Bank, and puts the code of silence on Lana or something like that to win the championship, and then make things even more interesting. That would have been interesting.
Well, thing is, it would have been even more heat if she had either waited until after Naomi was done, blast her with the briefcase, turns it in, and then either puts her in the code of silence or knocks her out another way, and then gets the title.
Well, like I said, I apologize for interrupting, but I guess you wanted to get my take. Full disclosure is the whole how I was watching the thing is kind of a tale in of itself, because I was actually watching the show on my phone on a Greyhound bus heading back in to DFW from Los Angeles, where I'd spent the whole weekend recording a whole bunch of stuff, especially with Jared with Rosenhacker, for this huge project I've got coming up, which you'll be able to see. Hopefully, you'll be seeing previews to it to anybody who subscribes to my Patreon at patreon.com/RowdyCProductions. Got to get that cheap shill in there.
And no worries, the link will be in the description as well. So
yeah, when I saw that, what happened, my reaction was I kind of expected it. I really did expect that there's got to be some type of hitch gimmick on how this thing is going to end. I did kind of suspect that Carmella would end up winning and that Ellsworth would have some sort of influence on the match. The one thing, and I know this is something that Jeff and I we've had really heated discussions about this. We did have it these last couple of days on Twitter and Facebook coming up to this podcast recording. I think that you talk about how you were hoping for something a little more legit or historic for the very first, but I think this was the point in time where they needed to do something like this, because I'm going to tell you right now, up to this point, I thought that the SmackDown women's division, more than anything else, the other two, was getting stale. It was getting boring. It had just battered down to I thought they had a chance to do something when they bring in Charlotte and had her be the enemy of all those other tangents, and then maybe Becky Lynch would come in and save her, and you'd have that kind of tandem with them, which I thought was going to be happening because of, those two had been posting on Twitter for about several months before that to basically make sure they were BFFs and everything. So I thought you would have something there where you'd have that tandem of maybe Charlotte and Becky battling the other divas like Natalya, Tamina, and Carmella. Meanwhile, you've got Naomi as the champion trying to hold up her end. That just kind of broke down, unfortunately. Nothing came of it, so I thought, okay, now they've got a position to have an absolute standout heel like Carmella to do something for it. And like I said, I know people want to say that this wasn't how you want people to talk about it. I disagree with that. You know the saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And this got people talking, and hell, this thing was so big, I will tell you this right now. If it hadn't been for what happened on Sunday night, I might have been at a ball game on Tuesday and just sneaking peeks of SmackDown on that same phone. But with what happened that Sunday, I'm staying home. I'm watching SmackDown beginning to end because I want to see what the hell's going to happen as a result of this. So I think what they did on Sunday, I will grant you this. I do agree that it could have been even bigger had Carmella cashed in and won the title on Sunday night. That would have taken it to another level. But I thought what they did already, it was the perfect thing to get people talking and get people tuned in. What happened on Tuesday? Well, I get a feeling we're about to get to that.
Oh, yeah. I honestly think, to me, when I saw this on Tuesday, and I was like, if they were going to, I think it would have been great if she would cashed in. And to me personally, and I saw this, and I'll put the link down there, because if I tried to put it on a video, I would probably just would be flagged and everything else. But I saw there was a short little promo with Becky Lynch. She was angry. She was like this fire, and I'm like, I hope the first minute on SmackDown. I mean, while Carmella had a pretty good promo, I was like, you know what? She just runs out and beats the crap out of her, like what they used to do back in the day. Because they didn't just sit back and wait and this, that, and the other, and wait till Daniel Bryan to fix these. No, that should have been Carmella. That should have happened the first thing. She should have just ran out there and beat the crap out of Carmella and everything, saying, I want to rip her apart. That type of babyface fire, which is very lacking and missing in that
on both Raw and SmackDown.
Oh yes, and heck, in not only females but also in the male side of the thing too. It just seems like this talking and promos. I'm like, I like a good promo, but again, I feel like my old schoolness is coming out. But where you had most promos were like 2-3 minutes, you got the character and the idea, over or whatever, and then the action came in. I mean, it is wrestling, and in any sense, actions are the ones that are bigger than words. That's what they're supposed to be. It's an action show. At the end of the day,
I'll grant you. Yeah. I will also agree that one thing that I wouldn't say disappointed me, but kind of made me laugh at the type of hypocrisy that I thought came out with, where everyone's complaining that Carmella essentially used a man's help to win that Money in the Bank match, and now here we are 2 days later, and all the other women are going to a man to try and fix this problem. I am right there with Duke in saying that I wanted to see someone like Becky just grab a mic out of Brian's hands and say, look, you don't need to change me, you need to do anything, and just basically call out Carmella and say, you want to prove you're better than me, you face me for that briefcase right now.
there. That's the story.
Yeah,
that would have been interesting.
That from Becky or anybody else for that matter. On the flip side, though, like I said, the show opened with Carmella coming out, giving that promo, and writers basically stole the word out of my mouth. This was nuclear heat. This is what we hadn't seen. Just about any bad guy in WWE get in as long as I can remember. And some people are saying it, they're not booing Carmella, they're booing the booking staff. It's almost impossible for a performer to get legit heel heat nowadays. So however it comes from, and just the fact that she was just eating it up.
I will agree.
Laying to that crowd. I don't care what you guys think. I did what it took. I don't care about any revolution. I don't care about making history. I'm doing what it takes to get me to the top. And I'm like thinking, God damn it, they're going to make me cheer her just because she's got this attitude.
Yes.
No, don't cheer the heel, Rowdy.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that's the big problem I've got.
Seriously, boo the fucking heels.
We're supposed to boo this person, but when all the baby faces are standing pat and crying, and she's actually doing something and basically got that type of sassy attitude. I mean, she's almost becoming, between her and, there's a reason why I think both she and Alexa Bliss are basically the most entertaining stars on WWE right now. Almost like a two-woman tandem of becoming a female CM Punk almost.
That's right there. You could do right here. I can see that type of way, but that's going a little too far. You gotta.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
But I see what you're saying, and I see what a lot of people are saying that too, is that they have at least a defined character. That's something that WWE has been. And it's funny how the WWE are. Since their inception, it's always been the good guy, the hero with the championship belt. They never been really the heel or villains hold the belt that long. That was more WCW, the down south thing. They liked the guy with the chase. WWF's terminology, even though it's been mixed around and such, has always been the good guy holding the championship and having a good long reign and actually having these type of situations and that stuff. But it seems
say this.
I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I'll also say this. What impresses me is this is the type, overall, was the type of storyline that I don't think we've seen from the women, if ever, in WWE. Because I think back, and I remember women's storylines used to be stuff like Tori Wilson having to deal with Dawn Marie being her stepmother, and then 2 months later she's in a fight with Nydia over a Girls Gone Wild video. I mean, that's the type of stuff that the divas used to be placed in. Now you've got an actual storyline that's centered around the championship, involves controversy, involves a heel who's willing to come up and just be a loudmouth and not care about what the crowd says. This kind of stuff has been old hat from the guys' side, but I haven't seen it from the women in ever. And that's just what's impressed me, is that to me is what makes this transcendent and revolutionary, is that you're putting bigger storylines centered around these women that have made them the most entertaining side of the entire show.
Yeah, and I'm tired, honestly, of other companies and other people being more interesting than the WWF or WWE wrestlers and such. Heck, more people are talking like, for example, LeVar Ball being more interesting as a villain or heel character than anyone in WWE nowadays. Seriously.
I can believe that. Yeah, believe me. I was saying, one thing I said the past year was that when you had better storylines in actual sports, from the Chicago Cubs to Coastal Carolina baseball to Leicester City European soccer, you got better storylines going on in real sports than in wrestling. There's something wrong going on.
Oh, yes, and that's been the issue for so many years. This could have been something really interesting, but instead, what did we have in this big storyline? The whole crescendo of it was them sitting on complaining and talking about Becky Lynch looking like, oh ho hum, like, yeah, I know I lost, but I really think they should have done something. I'm like, where was this fired that last night? It's like her, Becky Lynch, and Sami Zayn. I saw that. I was like, my gosh, it is that whole happy to be there. Oh gosh darn it, we'll keep trying because that's what we have to do. And that big that no baby face fire and angry and such.
That's what really frustrates me, because just for the fact that when you know that Becky Lynch is someone who in real life is a much more entertaining personality, in real life she's an absolute goofball who appears on Xavier Woods' Up Up Down Down show all the time. If they could just find a way to inject some of that personality, because I love her as a character and a performer, and I got to meet her at Wizard World Austin last year even, and just... I think her character's got the potential to be more, but that's probably the most frustrating thing to me, is that she's gotten as stale as just about anyone.
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing though, is that even if she was still so sort of stale, she still gets these high reactions. She still gets those reactions of those reactions like they like her. They really care about what she has to say. Becky Lynch and such, and meanwhile on Raw, it's Bayley's character. Oh gosh, I don't even.
Oh, don't get me fucking started on that.
Well, we got.
Let's save that for maybe after the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view and see what happens there.
But I kind of just I know it's a little bit. I want to say this right now. Is that supposedly, I don't know, is Becky, not Becky, is Bayley's character supposed to be a schizophrenic? Because the promo she cut last Monday, it is on YouTube, and you can watch it, and I will put a link down there, and in the description. It says like, I'm not here to hurt people, I'm here to put like smiles on people's faces. I'm like,
and then she comes out and just starts solid snaking everybody.
I'm like, did she just? It's like she watched like some type of weird the only times I actually heard someone say that is like in a mocking term, like say like Brian Alvarez or or someone else in the IWC would say that, but it's like she heard that term and thought it was literal. Like it was like, I'm here to put smiles on people. I'm not really here to hurt people. Like, really? You were you're a wrestler. That's your main job description. That is it's like she just forgot about all the crap she went through on NXT. Didn't you basically had to go to war with Sasha not once but twice, including a 30-minute Iron Woman match?
Yeah, didn't that match end with you basically tying Sasha's arms behind her back and kicking her in the head? Just so she could give up at the last like 10 seconds? Come on now.
It comes back to why
why are we doing this? Why are we sending the character of Bayley back to basics when people who have seen her in NXT, yes, people have watched NXT. They've seen her character development. They've seen her evolution. They've seen her come in and be part of the women's revolution or whatever and all that bullshit and everything that she went through in NXT, going from the so great to be here, from I hug people. I also am not afraid to put them through fucking hell. But now we've got Bayley. Oh, it's so great to be here all over again, because it's the main roster. You just suddenly forget all that character progression, and before anyone says anything about not a lot of people watch NXT. Oh, they didn't care about NXT. It was like whatever. The only reason she got the reaction she did, the only reason she still has any reaction at all, is because of the character she is from NX motherfucking T. So, basically I'm saying the main roster fucked her over. They fucked her character over completely. They've regressed her to the point where they regressed her to the point where they're having this is idiotic "this is your life" segments from Alexa Bliss, who I don't have a problem with Alexa Bliss. Just nothing could have saved that segment. Nothing could have saved it. You could have had The Rock in Alexa Bliss drag, and that wouldn't have saved it. You could have had Bayley come out dressed up as Mankind, and that wouldn't have saved it either. Nothing could have saved that. Kurt Angle, on the next week of Raw, said, Alexa, no, we're not doing that. The This Is Your Life segment was one of the worst segments of Raw in history. In history. So...
You go on that rant, and all I'm doing is trying to purge from my mind the image of The Rock dressed like Alexa Bliss now.
Oh, no, Chris.
You're welcome.
Too late, Chris. Someone on Rule 34 already drew that, so it's already there. It's already in the ether.
The bottom line, they have completely bungled the character of Bayley. They don't know how to write someone like Bayley who is like just true good, who's just a purely good person. I mean, yes, she has like, a history of people betraying her and backstabbing her, but it never got her down for too long. This kind of thing just completely annihilates her character and has just set her back to square damn one. And you're just retelling the same story over and over again with the same character who's already been through that. We've already seen this.
The only, I guess, if there's one defense I could probably give is, part of me could still probably understand how creative, even at this point in time, could struggle of figuring out how are we supposed to make a purely good character and have the audience like her when all we've ever hear is that the most popular character in the history of professional wrestling is a guy who beat up people for no reason and tried to kill them in cars when he was at his absolute hottest point. I mean, let's face it, the crowd doesn't have a great history of cheering absolutely pure babyface characters. In fact, I brought this up. You look at the biggest babyface characters who carried companies and carried wrestling, they all essentially did start out as heels. Even Hulk Hogan was that. His first run in the WWF under the reign of the elder Vince McMahon was a heel to start off with. He basically copycatted Jesse Ventura with his character.
That was I think it was Superstar Billy Graham, actually.
They all three in that same boat with the type of characters they had.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And by the way, Chris, I know you're trying to talk about Stone Cold. He never really killed anyone with a car. He tried to kill somebody with a forklift, actually.
Same thing. I think he tried to. Well, there was the forklift, and before that, there was the ambulance.
Oh yeah,
both to Triple H.
Yeah, and yet Triple H always seemed to be involved with forklifts. I don't know why. It's most of it's weird. Forklifts.
Something to do with wrestlers and construction equipment.
It's just odd. And I remember watching that as a kid. And
They're trying to say they're a bunch of tools?
Pretty much, but I thought he actually did kill Triple H. And I was like, I really pushed him down. I'm like, he killed him because there's no way. And then when Triple H came back, he had like a tape on his rib. I'm like, no. If he would, I'm like,
there's a reason I put that as the worst moment of the Attitude Era. That's pretty much all I've said.
Just the only thing would be left of him, like you'd be scapping him up with a spatula at that point. I'm like, bro is dead. He's gone.
Unless they got unless they have like a roll cage in that car.
Unless they somehow found the Lazarus pit, there is no chance in hell he came back to life and have a goddamn little bandage on his face or something like that.
And the most frustrating thing for me was that he comes back after managing to survive an attempted murder by Stone Cold Steve Austin. First thing he does, he just breaks up Stone Cold's title match with Kurt Angle, and Jim Ross calls Triple H the no good son of a bitch.
Like, dude, you
hey,
kill me.
Yeah, this MFer tried to put me 6 feet under, and you think I don't have the right to just cost him a title shot? That's the least I should do to this guy.
Yeah, I'm like, but he's like, wow, he came. But you know what? And then somehow they became a tag team afterwards because that I don't understand how that works.
Because heel turn, because we don't remember much of anything after 6 months, because continuity is more of a thing you just bring up to say, oh hey, we watched that a while ago.
Yeah, but anyway, I think we're getting off topic here because we need to finally get to what happened to actually so far resolve this whole Carmella storyline and what Daniel Bryan did at the end of SmackDown, because I don't think I've undergone a 180-degree turn towards my opinion of what creative does than what I did in those 48 hours.
Oh, those long 48 hours. It seems like it was so much of a backpedal. And I'm like, if this was either it was a backpedal or it was something a plan all along, and I hope it wasn't the plan the entire time. Just to have a they by the way, we'll set this up. They bring all of the SmackDown female wrestlers, and they say, okay, this, that, and the other. And then you have Ellsworth say some stuff about Daniel Bryan's baby girl, and then Daniel Bryan went off on him, and then he took the briefcase and said that, you know what, there will be another Money in the Bank women's ladder match next week or 2 weeks from now.
And I think it's next week.
Oh yeah. And I sat there. I was like, this seems to be like he pushed. This tries to.
It's the reset button. He hit the reset button. It's like okay, do over, slam.
Yeah, and that's what makes me think that this was a knee-jerk reaction to all of the online opposition. There's just so much other stuff they could have done. And like I said, even if he had just announced, you're going to put that briefcase on the line in a straight-up 5-woman match, I would have been okay with that. But just the fact, the issue with this is, one, you've taken the person who could have been your biggest heel, and you've given at least the chance for her to have sympathy, because he did basically strip her from something that she did. Like I said, you can't break a rule that doesn't exist. Technically speaking, no rule was broken. You could, as long as you can make that argument, there's some way of saying that she's not completely wrong. But now, if they don't find a way, you're having the exact same match as last time. I think it was announced on Talking Smack immediately after that supposedly Ellsworth's going to be banned from ringside.
Yeah.
Well, wait and see for that. But one thing is, unless you could find some way to have Carmella win this match in a method that's as much as even cheaper than how she won it the first time, you've killed the heat. I mean, I'm going to go as far as to say, if in any way she takes down that briefcase herself with her own hands, the heat is dead. Because now she can say, now you can't boo me anymore because now I did it myself, and you can't argue with that. It's the old thing, you gotta cheat to get your heat, and I just think they blew that opportunity.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, honestly, I see your point. However, I do think there's a way for her to cheat without James Ellsworth, or at the very least use underhanded means to get the briefcase. Can of mace, like right to the eyes of, say, Becky Lynch, because I mean it would have to be Becky. If I were booking it, it would be Becky and Carmella on the top of the ladder. Becky's about ready to knock Carmella off. All of a sudden, she reaches in her boot or like in a belt or a pouch or something, grabs some like watered down mace, sprays Becky in the eyes. Becky falls to the ground, clutching her face. Carmella gets the briefcase and poses and taunts everybody on the top of the ladder.
Yeah,
you might be right there.
I agree.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the only question, the issue I've got with that is, yeah, I did say that comment. You gotta cheat to get your heat. Problem is nowadays not even that's possible because I'll say this: the potential idea you've just espoused, that's Eddie Guerrero level cheating. That's the type that can almost get the crowd impressed with your creativity. That's why I thought that how she did it on Sunday with Ellsworth was the perfect method to get her over as a villain. And
well, I mean, if that's the case, why didn't Ellsworth just, start super kicking chicks left and right?
that possibly, yeah. I guess just the fact that he did the work for her was just, man or woman, that's about the best way to have gotten her over in that particular match, where technically there are no disqualifications.
Yeah. And by the way, to me, maybe it's just me, but I think the whole Money in the Bank concept is more designed for villains and heels to it. Because what is more being underhanded to basically cashing in the shot when a champion is weakened and everything else? To me, when a good guy, babyface, has the money back, it feels like it's a bit of, out of character unless they say, I'm going to challenge this person straight up. Because if Becky goes in and say Lana has just won a championship and then she came in and cashed it in, that's very villainous. That's villainous type of behavior. So
right.
Well, actually, and I can actually counter that. Say, think back to Edge and getting Batista bombed, and then you had CM Punk come in and cash in on him at that time, giving him the GTS and then pitting him for the title. I mean, in that case, it's essentially a braggadocious heel getting his comeuppance.
Right,
So,
that was because I remember that took place the night after on Raw, the night after Night of Champions, which I actually was at that pay-per-view live in Dallas because that was just like the perfect situation because it was fallout from how Edge was able to retain the belt against Batista that Sunday night at Night of Champions. So he's already got that heat of getting help from Vicky Guerrero the previous night and taunting the crowd there. So first you had Batista taking out his frustration on Edge, and then CM Punk comes in and cashes in, and just because it's within that 24-hour time span, there was a sense of
there's catharsis.
Poetic justice.
There's poetic justice. There's catharsis. Now in the scenario you put up where say Lana had hard fought match, she's somehow the champion and she just retained it after hard fought match, and then Becky the face comes in, beats her up afterwards. Yes, I can see how that would be considered villainous, but in the situation where it's just the heel's on top of the world, nobody can beat me, I'm the champ, I'm this, I'm that, and then all of a sudden, say, they face some kind of consequence from, their hubris, and then all of a sudden, here comes the briefcase, cash in, pin, ding, there you go.
Well, yeah, I think that's right there. But when I look at the Money in the Bank, female Money in the Bank, the whole kerfuffle, I really wished, when you look back at it, they should have cashed it in, and Carmella should have. I don't know how long
she should have cashed it in that night.
Yes, I don't know how long you hold that championship. I think, personally, I think she should hold that title at least to SummerSlam and have. I don't know who wins it. I'm tired. I want to say Charlotte to win it, and have Becky chase, but it'd be just, I feel like it'd be a retelling of that story. Part of me, I would say that have Becky win it and have Charlotte chase after her, and have something like that. Have her win the belt at Royal Rumble, and then have this big match at WrestleMania, a singles one-on-one match where you have Becky finally getting that big win at WrestleMania. That could be an interesting storyline, and everyone else.
The only thing I would have, I would doubt that is, I'm not sure we're gonna see a women's singles match at WrestleMania anytime soon, just because I think they want to throw as many women into. They're going to have like two maybe women's matches on WrestleMania, and they're going to try to throw as many performers in there as possible. I would love to see Charlotte versus Becky one-on-one at WrestleMania, but I don't see it happening.
I think that would be actually interesting. And either way, y'all saw the shows, and did you think Lana did? I thought Lana did okay. By the way, I think she was okay.
I was impressed.
She was okay.
Yeah,
she was all right.
I mean, I've heard stuff. They basically want to give her the role that they were going to give Ava Marie before everything went down south with her. But she's definitely got the ability to hold her own. I mean, it was. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. Which he gets another shot this next Tuesday, but I definitely think that at the moment I thought that might have been just a transitionary match before we find out whoever the next real challenger for Naomi is. But who knows? Lana may very well have a future as a performer very soon.
She obviously has more potential than Eva Marie ever did.
Well, to be fair, Eva, maybe it's not like she's banished forever and stuff like that. If she really wants to try and actually become a wrestler,
the thing is, like, they're just waiting her contract out. She's done.
Oh, no, she was released, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, she's done in wrestling for at least for right now.
Yeah. Also, let's see. Before we bite the dust of this thing, before I want to get y'all two thoughts on this. Before I end the show, the lounge, close it out for a week and everything else, so we get back to the regular standard stuff over at TalkShoe.com. Yes, I can't plug my stuff because this is my show. It's the whole main event scene in SmackDown, the male main event scene, the Money in the Bank there. It was. I honestly was wondering why they took down Nakamura for so long, not to put him he was out for majority of the match. I was sitting here wondering, I want to see Corbin win, but I've seen him he just regressed, and that's what I hate about that. He was regressing, and then he finally wins this thing, and I'm like, I mean, I know they want to have the shock value, but to me, when he basically lost the Intercontinental title match against Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania, I think it was just he lost a lot of momentum, and that there.
He was kind of floating around in the ether a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say this: what they did with Nakamura in this match, really, I just don't understand it, because they take him out of the match, and then they bring him back, and he's almost like he didn't suffer at all from that attack. He's freaking Superman out there, taking out everybody. Yeah, you get that nice little bit where he and AJ Styles are standing opposite sides of that ladder, because everyone supposedly knows all the battles they've had in other places, and it doesn't mean anything because he still doesn't win. Because I had gone in there hoping that the reason that they had taken Nakamura out of that match was that at one point Shane McMahon would come out and say, well, Nakamura's out, but we have a replacement, and in comes Rusev. Because I would have loved if something like Rusev had come out and won that match, because that's a guy I think can really be something, especially if
that would have been interesting.
I think Rusev would have been great, and I still think he's great, and he's just sitting there basically doing relaxing on Twitter at this point, just saying that he's playing video games. I'm like, dude, man, I want him to come back. He just, because the way he lost, the last match I saw him, Big Show completely destroyed him. And there's a resume story with him and Jim Mahal but then we're at the tag team and everything, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, fighting against Enzo and Cass, and you know, that whole scenario that came about and everything else. When, you know, I know I should have just ended right there and everything else, but dang it, why should we feel bad about Enzo again? About him, you know?
Well, honestly, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure you can, at least not from a standpoint of, you know, Enzo's kind of a dick, and you know his behaviors kind of come back to haunt him. But at the same time, I mean, it's like you see how he reacted to it. You see the little tear in his eye. It's just like it's like, dude, you couldn't just come and talk to me about this. You couldn't have just, you know, couldn't just sat me down and you know, said, hey, Enzo, you're gonna have to stop being a loudmouth and stop, you know, all this stuff. I mean, and the thing is, there were times when he tried to tell him, you know, especially during that ugly, disgusting business they had with Rusev and Lana.
Yeah,
and
this
Jinder.
This is why I said that I knew that their breakup was inevitable. But this is why I was saying I thought it would have been better if Enzo would have been the one to turn heel in all of this. Because if anything, just because I'm not saying he's a terrible in-ring performer.
He is.
But
Enzo's terrible.
Okay, well,
he's not that great.
You said not me,
He's
but
not that great.
Yeah, but just the fact that the guy is such an ability to be a loudmouth talker that I really thought his potential to be a heel manager is outstanding. Where if anything, I was having flashbacks to the '80s now, where if that happened, you could have had a new Jimmy Hart in Enzo Amore with a new Mr. Slick in Titus O'Neil and a new Bobby Heenan and Paul Heyman. That would have been freaking awesome.
To your point, there could have been like a new renaissance of the manager.
Absolutely.
I personally get more Gary Hart from Titus O'Neil than Slick, but that's just my personal opinion.
Perhaps.
But it's just when when you saw, I'm like, that could have been better. Like, and you know, have Enzo say those things. Cass was like, "What are you talking about, man?" That you know, because you're just the most biggest, dumbest dude out there, just saying these several things, and then you'd be like, "Wait," and like Enzo can't do anything to Cass, and then you have there's this big dude in NXT. God dang, he looks like this. Let's see. You know, next Brock Lesnar. I gotta find what his name is. It says Dylan Miley. This big, strong dude who's like 6'3", like 6 foot, like built like a monster. And you gotta see the pics of him. This dude right here could have been like, he comes out of nowhere, beats down Cass right there, just destroys him. This guy is just like he's like the next. People say he's like the next version of Brock Lesnar. He comes in, you have Enzo right there. You have Enzo right there, just like saying he's my new boy, like he's my new running buddy, and that sort of thing. You have some of Great Balls of Fire. Enzo, has this guy running with him, and then you have. And then you have Cass go through that, even though Cass will probably be a little hampered because he's not really good talk. He talks very. I understand he likes like Kevin Nash and everybody.
He's not an awful talker, but in terms of mic skills, Enzo surpasses him by quite a bit.
He has confidence in his words, and heck, this is the first time I saw him actually strung sentences together. And it was more convincing instead of this long, slow, dragging type of just this, it's like he was just so nervous. And that's right there. That's the problem. He was so nervous being this babyface, but when he was turned heel, this sounded interesting. And he's like, well, he finally has something there. And I'm like, man, the WWE can't really write any babyfaces right.
Well, I think it goes back, it comes back to an old rule that from my theater days, the best performers want to play the villain. It's just, there's just something more entertaining that you've got the freedom to really be outlandish and loudmouth. And just
you don't have to be nice.
Mind that I think that's why, the big reason why a lot of the best superstars even if they eventually turn face, they start out as heels because that's where they learn to build that confidence and ability to say just about anything and play to the crowd.
Yes, that's right there. And I really wish, I really wish they can actually, do something like that to kind of connection. And the heels can do that, but that to me just screams lazy to me. That screams lazy to just say only the villains can be that. Because there are a lot of good guys who actually said, heroes and such, to great lines.
I will say this, yeah. This is one thing that I think wrestling in general kind of struggles with, is that nowadays, I think back to wrestling really still creates baby faces from scratch, almost like they're classic Disney heroes. They don't have a lot of depth or personality. And look, this is someone who loves classic Disney, so I'm not trying to downgrade those old animated movies. But nowadays, people like more complex character personas in their heroes. And there's a lot of movies and TV shows nowadays that are able to do that, but wrestling still seems to struggle in that department.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's not always easy to have heroes with personalities, because sometimes when you have because for some reason people seem to think personality means jackass or someone who's just kind of a douchebag.
Wrestling hasn't been able to really create its own Tony Stark from scratch.
Well, they have in some cases. That's sort of like I think you could say Seth Rollins in some states that you can have that.
But he started out as a heel.
Yeah, he started.
That's exact point taken.
Yeah, but Tony Stark was not really an sign of the Angels before he was that. He was a war profiteer. So
Good
yeah.
Point. He didn't know he was, and once he found out, he changed his ways. But you make a good point there.
And you know what? And think about good lines. You had Seth Rollins this Monday said, only the gods that the mankind created gods in their heads. I'm like, wow, that was actually a very good line from Seth Rollins to pull on Bray Wyatt. I was like, that was really good. And I'm like, if only babyfaces had lines like that, and doing things that will just like to cut down the heels instead of just being this, sucks like that. And heck, even Roman Reigns had something like, you call yourself Samoa Joe, but to me, you're just Joe. Right there to undercut the heels instead of vice versa.
It's starting to develop. I really do think that. This is what I've been saying, is that this past at least year or two, WWE's been in a transition period. I mean, with Cena on his last legs and trying to find the next people that can carry the company, it's been a slow process, but I do think it has been gradually building and has the potential to get there.
Yes, I do agree with that. And
I just hope that they find a way to salvage this Carmella storyline, because I've actually got a ticket to when SmackDown shows up in about 2 to 3 weeks down in San Antonio. So, because it's 2 days after Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view here in Dallas, which I'll be going to see as well. I'm just hopefully there's going to be something good for me to see in person, because there's not very other reasons I would schlep all the way down to the dirty river walk of San Antonio.
The way I think that a lot of how Carmella plays it afterwards is what's going to factor into how people react. Just not even saying like, oh, you can't boo me. No, it's not. If I were writing it, I would say, yes, boo me. I am better than you. I'm better than all of you. I'm Mrs. Money in the Bank. I did what I had to do then. I did what I have to do now, and I will keep doing what I have to do. I don't care who it hurts. I don't care what rules it breaks. I don't care who's offended. I will do anything to keep this briefcase and become women's champion, because I am FABULOUS.
We'll just have to wait and see. I will definitely be tuning in to SmackDown this coming Tuesday to find out what's going to happen. So I give them credit for that.
Yeah, but that's the hope. Anyway, you know what? That right there will be the end of the Dukect Lounge. I want to thank Writrzblok and Rowdy C joining me, Dukect T, here on the lounge for all of y'all. So once again, thanks once again.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right. Anyway, this is Dukect T here. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later.